All righty. It looks like we are live for, what is today? Friday, December 28th, 2018. Can't say 2018 much longer. We're on the home stretch of it. Getting ready to finish the year off doesn't even seem like it's possible. Can't even believe 2019 is now going to be part of the common vocabulary. I'm still not even used to saying 2018. I'm just going to take a moment to share this really quick on my other pages. If you want to invite some friends, family, or anybody you know who struggles with stress, this might be a good one for them to sit in on. I've been hearing a lot about stress. A few of you have written in asking me to talk about stress, and so I thought this might be a great time to touch on it as we close out one year and get ready to begin another. So just give me 1 minute, and while I do that, why don't you say hello and let me know, what are you planning on doing this weekend? What's one thing that you're looking forward to this weekend? Say hello, and what is one thing that you are looking forward to this weekend? And I just got one more share to do, and then I will be ready to rock and roll here. Okay. Cool. Let's do this. Let's see who's on here. All right. Why isn't this thing loading up on here? Paul, what's up, Paul? Leslie, hey, Leslie. Linda, hey, Linda, good to see you on here. Carrie, what are you reading right now? What book are you reading? Going for a run with my running sister. Awesome. Looking forward to seeing my family. Oh, there we go. Now it's loading. For some reason, this thing doesn't load all the time, but we're in business now. Sounds like some cool weekends in store. Where to see my family. Awesome. So cool. I appreciate you all sharing about that. So I encourage you to take notes with this. If you have questions that pop up during this, write them down, type them in. I'm happy to answer any and all questions relating to this, and then we'll circle back around at the end, and then I can answer them then too. So if you have one that comes up in the moment, you don't want to wait, I'll scroll back through and answer them. But this will kind of be a brief touch on with stress. I actually have a full training that's super helpful. And for those of you who are strong stress sufferers or really struggle with stress, I think it would be a really beneficial one for you. It's really, I put in a lot of thought to the name. It's just called Stress Relief Training. And it's a really some simple, easy to follow tools and strategies, things that you can do every single day that I've seen time and time again and implemented and tested out with people from all over the world to radically reduce and if not altogether eliminate stress. So I just want to put that in the back of your mind as we talk about today and just what goes on with stress. So this time of year, gosh, it's a time of year where I feel like stress often gets to an all-time high. It's kind of funny now that it's become so common that the holiday season we have, it's peace on earth, goodwill towards all, lots of kindness and lots of stress. It's become commonplace to tune into the news and see videos of the hordes, stressed out and anxious, trying to get through the shopping centers and get to the latest deals and whatnot. We're trying to figure out how to manage family and violence dynamics. Some of us have to spend time with people that may not be some of our most favorite people to spend time with. There's just lots of things that come up. And also getting ready to close out the year, begin a new one. If you go into astrology and the celestial stuff, we just had a full moon, the solstice. There's all these things happening, and it can produce a really strong stress response for many of us. And one of the challenges with that is that stress has a very specific biological function, right? Once upon a time when we were all cavemen and women, we needed stress to help us basically to survive, right? And we would have to go out and we'd be foraging for food and shelter, and we'd encounter a saber-toothed tiger along the road. And we had to make a split-second decision right then that if we were going to fight the saber-toothed tiger, if we were going to run away. This is where we've all heard of fight or flight before. Well, for most of us in our day-to-day lives, we don't have saber-toothed tigers we have to contend with. If you do, please take a photo of it and send it to me, because I would love to see a real-life saber-toothed tiger. That aside, what we do have is we still have this stress response. We still have the biological ability to have this physiological reaction that produces stress in the various ways it does for us, whether it's heart palpitations, whether it's rapidness in breath, sweating, tensing, whatever that case may be for us. Some of us will lay awake at night. Some of us can't sleep. Some of us oversleep. We all have different ways of dealing with it, but we recognize that there's this biological purpose. Well, so we don't have the saber-toothed tigers to contend with anymore, which also means we don't have these kind of extreme bookends on each side. And so what we start to do is we start to learn how to be stressed out from different things in our day-to-day life. And we become stressed out because we start to form attachment and meaning to things. If I don't pay the bills, what does that mean about me, right? If I don't do this, and oftentimes many of the sources of our stress will begin with something like, if I don't this, then it means this. And you'll see that any of you who have ever been or currently are chronic and strong stress sufferers, you'll notice that there's an inner monologue that runs through your head that you've probably never been consciously aware of before. But the inner monologue in your head goes something like this, right? And so your stress is essentially predicated on that part of that validation, that being true. If I do this, then I'm this. If I don't do that, then I'm this. Gosh, I can remember I'm a recovering stressaholic. And I can remember very vividly times where I would go to sleep and I would literally lay awake at night for hours. My heart would be racing. I couldn't calm myself down because I was so stressed out about bills I needed to pay, about responsibilities I felt I had. And the monologue I would tell myself. So initially, I never was aware of this other monologue because I was only so focused on the story around it, right? About just being stressed and telling myself, my God, if I don't calm down, I'm not going to go to sleep. This is horrible. My heart's racing. I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. We have all these stories that we surround stress with, right? That kind of feed into it. And so stress, there's the emotion that we feel in the moment, but then there's the external expression of it too. So as we're going through that physiological process, we're also telling ourselves stories about the ramifications of it down the road. If I don't fall asleep, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. If I don't get this done, I'm going to be overwhelmed, right? Any of you resonate with this? You know what I mean? And because we're so focused on those things, the immediate byproducts of it, the tangibles that we can see, touch, taste, feel, and smell right away, we often miss that inner monologue that's going on. That's really going to be one of the causations of stress. That inner monologue is something that if I don't do this, then it means this about me. If I don't do that, then it means this about me. So for me, when I was really struggling with stress, one of my inner monologues would be something like, if I don't get these bills paid, then it means I'm a failure. If I don't pay my bills on time, it means I'm destined to end up in the financial situation that my parents were in. If I don't pay my bills on time and I'm destined to end up in the financial situation my parents were in, then that means that I'm going to always be stressed out, sad, and just not as happy as I could be. If I don't show up for this thing, that means that I am letting this person down. It means that I'm a horrible human being. It means that I'm just a shitty friend. It means I'm a bad son. These were all some of the things that I would use in my narrative. And so when I would be saying those things to myself unconsciously, right, this is all happening super fast. So I wasn't aware I was saying this because I was so focused on my heart racing, being in a cold sweat, not feeling like I was going to be so tired that I didn't hear this monologue beneath the surface that when I was saying these things to myself, it just continued to fuel it. And I found myself constantly baffled about why can't I get past the stress? Why am I always stressed out? Well, I was only stressed out because of what I was always telling myself. Does this make sense? Anybody resonate with you all? Yes, no? You can click or just type in yes. I'd say I'm with you, or if something's not clear, just let me know and I can make it more clear. And what ends up happening with that is when we have these monologues going, so the average human being thinks of anywhere between 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Think about that for a moment, 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And I don't know about you all, so it's a little after 4 p.m. right now, my time. So I've been awake for 13 hours or so. And so if you look at 13 hours, and let's say I'm awake on an average day for 18 hours. So I have 5 more waking hours or so left in the day. And if you do that math, I have 18 waking hours. I've basically been awake for 2/3 of my day at this point. And if I'm thinking, let's just say 60,000 thoughts, that would have meant at this point, right to this moment right now with you all, I've thought 40,000 thoughts. And of those 40,000 thoughts, how many of them can I really think and remember of? Not many. And for me to try to stop and think about and remember them all, it would take forever. So most of these thoughts that we're thinking were happening unconsciously. They're going through so fast that we can't really be aware of it, or we're not necessarily aware of it unless we train ourselves to slow down and tune into it. But that's not what we're taught, is it? What we're taught is how to respond to the symptoms, how to respond to the response that we're going through. We're taught it from our parents, from teachers, from society, from what we read on blogs, news, watch on YouTubes. And what we respond to is the symptoms, the heart palpitations, the cold sweats, the anxiety. We start to attach where it comes from, bills to pay, these types of things. But what we never examine is what the inner monologue is, what we're actually saying to ourselves about what causes us to be stressed out in the first place. This is compounded. Okay, yes, I'm with you. Oh, thank you for the feedback, everybody. I appreciate you all saying that. It helps because I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. So this is where this gets compounded. So you add in a season like the holiday season, right, where there's a lot of extra emotions that come up. We got to go hang out with Uncle Fred that we can't freaking stand. We got to go fight to get the latest and greatest Xbox 5032 at Best Buy, and there's only going to be 50 of them sold at this time. We have to manage the people on the road because we all know that there's a lot more idiots driving on at this time of year, don't we? There's weather that we have to contend with. There's all these other things. And so what happens is we have these things happen and we're reacting to them. And when we're reacting, we're attaching meaning to them. If I don't get that Xbox 5000 or whatever it is, I'm a bad parent. If I don't show up with and hang out with Uncle Fred, even though I can't stand him, that makes me a shitty person. And now we're in this quandary, right, where it's between going with Uncle Fred, who we don't really like and we don't really want to hang out with anyways, or being a shitty person. You think that's going to be a stressful decision to make? Because now we're weighing these two things and neither one of them is what we want. I would wager that none of us on here really want to be shitty people, but most of us on here too probably don't want to hang out with Uncle Fred. So because we're taught to be good people, we're taught to be good little boys and girls, we're taught to do the right thing, and the right thing is to go and hang out with Uncle Fred because he's family. Doesn't matter if he's married into the family or anything like that. We reluctantly go and we hang out with Uncle Fred. We sit there and we laugh at his inappropriate jokes. We pretend like we give a shit about what he's really saying. We hug him. We do all those types of things. But all the while, we're monitoring this dialogue in the back of our mind that, oh, gosh, I really can't stand that Uncle Fred. He's a jerk. He's this, he's that. And now we're stressed about being there because we're having to be inauthentic to ourselves and spend this time with this person and pretend like we're someone we're not. So there's other venues that this starts to stem from where we start to produce stress, which is one of the reasons why this time of year is often considered one of the most stressful times of year. Does this make sense? So when we enter into dynamics like this, what's really imperative is if you want to be masterful with managing your stress or altogether eliminating it, you have to become mindful of what's going on in here. What are you saying to yourself? What are the stories you're telling yourself? Because a couple of things can happen with this. Number one, when you start to recognize it, you can have the power to change it. For me, when I was sitting there stressing out about bills to pay, and if I didn't pay the bills on time, what did that mean? It meant that I was going to be, replicating what my parents did and destined to just spend a life being unhappy. And what I could say with myself is to say, okay, if I want to accept that that's going to be the causation of this, how can I change that? Well, what I could do then is I could say, well, I know that this bill is always going to be due at this time. And I could budget accordingly so that I have the money set aside for that bill every day at this exact time, 2 weeks in advance or whatever, which means I could not do these things that are normally causing financial expenditure because this is more important. Or if it was something about myself and say, if I don't do this, then it means that I'm a bad person. Well, if I don't want to be a bad person, if I want to be a good person, what could I do instead? How could I change that about myself? How can I change how I feel about myself? You can start to ask yourself questions and seek out answers. See, stress is something that's totally manageable, and it's something that we can deal with, but we have to have tools to do it. We need to be able to figure out how to manage it and potentially eliminate when it comes up. We got to learn how to instantly shift from it, because remember, stress it's an emotional expression. And if we're feeling it, what would we rather feel instead? Would it be happiness, joy? See, a lot of times we don't even know because we're so focused on the stress and then going into if we imagine stress being a program, we're going into the program that's called stress, right? Here's the stimulus. Oh my God, I got these bills to pay. So the response is, I'm going to get worked up. My heart's going to palpate, so on and so forth. Here's the stress. Oh my gosh, it's snowing outside. All the assholes are going to be out there. Here's the stress. We got to have dinner with Uncle Fred tomorrow at 5 p.m. But what would we like to feel instead, right? It's so important that if we really want to manage stress, is to identify what would we rather experience. Would we rather experience something else? Because a lot of times when we're feeling and experiencing stress, it can feel like purgatory, can it? It can feel like we're alone on this island and there's sharks swimming around and there's no hope to get off because we're just stuck here. And the only thing we can do is ride the wave and help it subside soon enough. And then we get into this space where we're starting to just manage it. Right? We're managing it to the point of, if I can get it down to an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll take an 8 because most of the days it's a 9 or a 10. Does this make sense? We need to be able to learn how to tap into the amazing resourcefulness that's our unconscious. All those thoughts I was talking about, they're unconscious thoughts, the majority of them are, which is why we can't remember them. And it's the unconscious thoughts. It's the thoughts that we're not even aware of that are the ones that are often the most problematic and biggest contributors to stress. See, once upon a time when we were going out and we might encounter a saber-toothed tiger, we had this fast to make a decision about what we were going to do and how we were going to handle that situation. And if we hesitated at all to go conscious, which conscious would be, there's a saber-toothed tiger there. What should I do in this situation? Well, let me see. I could have A, B, C, D choices. A would be I could try to negotiate with the tigers. B would be I could go for a walk and try to stealthily sneak away. C could be, you know what I mean? If you're in that kind of dynamic and that decision-making process, the odds are you're already eaten into your saber-toothed tiger snack food. Probably don't want to end up that way. So it happens unconsciously because we have to make these lightning fast decisions about what we need to do and how we need to handle a situation. We have empowering emotions inside of us. And one of the reasons that we may struggle with stress is because we don't know how to access them. We don't know how to tap into the magic that is us. And instead we end up settling for just the emotional responses that we're programmed to and we react to. And then what happens is, because we're going into this stress and it feels so overwhelming and so consuming, that we're always in this reaction mode. And we don't find the space to be able to develop daily success habits that can help us overcome and eliminate stress so that we can live a happy, healthy, and fulfilled life. See, it's completely possible to do this on the other side of stress and to not be stressed. This is coming again from somebody who used to be that. I am literally now probably, I would say in situations, very, very calm. It doesn't mean I don't feel stress at times, because stress can serve a very important function. I think stress can, when we learn how to channel it and manage it appropriately, it can come up to remind us of things that are really important. I had an experience earlier this year where I was driving on the 405, as it's called, but it's really the 405 freeway, which, if any of you have ever driven in Southern California, Southern Californians have a nickname for the 405 freeway. It's called hell. And the reason it's called hell is because it's probably one of the most congested and trafficked pieces of cement anywhere in the world. You have 6 lanes, and oftentimes, pretty much any time of day, it doesn't move. And traffic can stop all of a sudden. I was driving on it, and it was one of those rare times that it was actually moving, but I got the alert on there that said that traffic was going to slow down up ahead. And you could see crystal clear up ahead of you that there was traffic was getting ready to slow down. It was, 500 feet ahead. So I started to slow down, stopped. The person behind me slammed on the brakes a little late, but they had space. I had made enough space for them where there was no worries. But the person behind them, not on their phone, or was on their phone, something like that, never slowed down. Last second, they slammed on the brakes. They slammed in the car behind them, slam into that car. That car shoves into me, full on rear ended on the 405 freeway. I took a deep breath and I checked in with myself and thought, wow, this is kind of my thought process with this. Wow, this is really amazing. Like everything's okay. I'm fine. Thank goodness. Got out of the car very calmly, walked out, looked at the damage at my car, walked back behind, asked the person behind me if they were okay, walked back behind, asked the person behind them if they were okay. And we made a plan. I had said, let's take that exit up there. We need to get off the road. Everybody's car was drivable, and then we can get this sorted out. So that way we're not contributors to traffic. I was really, for the most part, fairly calm with it. I had some stress, which was an expected amount of stress given the situation, but it wasn't so consuming that I couldn't function, because I had learned how to manage and control my stress so much that other day-to-day situations that I used to get really stressed out over, I didn't have that response anymore. And so what had happened now is my biology was responding appropriately. A 405 accident, a rear end, could be equivalent of what a modern day saber-toothed tiger would be. And so I have this response that's okay, fight or flight. Everything's okay right now. There's no need to run. Things are fine. So now how do we make a decision? What do we need to do to resolve this right away? And you can go into that problem-solving mode. And it's really hard, isn't it, to get into problem-solving mode when we're going to be stressed out all the time. So I encourage you all that if you find yourself struggling with stress, the first place to look to is, what's your inner monologue happening when it comes up, right? What are you talking about? What are you telling yourself about this that's causing you to feel this way? The second thing I would encourage all of you to do is, if you're open to it, I would love for you to check out my stress relief training. And I'll put a link up there for you. It's a do-it-yourself program. You have full access to it anytime. It's only, I think it's $97 right now. It could be a great gift that you give to yourself. And it is a wonderful, wonderful resource. And this is the same tools and trainings I've taught to many of my clients all over the world that's helped them successfully manage their stress and reduce it. So if you're a stress sufferer and you'd like to really do some inner work on it and work to eliminate altogether and learn how to become more emotionally resourceful and tap into more of the emotions that you may really want to feel, like happiness and joy, and save stress for the stuff that really warrants it, and not give your emotion, not give your energy anymore to the things like, the day-to-day things that we may give so much of that energy to. Because here's the thing is, if we're stressed out all the time about those other stuff like bills and the chronic stuff of life, that's energy that takes away from us being able to be present with the people that matter most, our friends, our family, our loved ones, to be able to be present with the things that matter most to us, to be able to focus our energy on doing the things that matter most to us. Because it's going to be really hard to do it when our energy is always divided between that and stress. So I want to extend that offer to you as a gift from me to you. You can just click that link, sign up. The process is really quick, and then you'll have the program delivered to your email inbox, probably within an hour or so. But that's what I have for stress tonight. Has this been helpful for you all? What questions do you have? Let me scroll through and see if there's any questions that popped up. And Happy New Year, Wendy. Yes, cool. Unlock your greatness. Yes, I'll let you know, Paul, for sure. Fear, false evidence appearing real. I love that. So true. So true. Yeah, it focuses on the training, goes into anxiety too, Carrie. Yep. Any questions about this? Is this helpful for you all? Also, while I wait for questions to pop up, just a reminder, we're going to get, so the plan is for the coming years, I really want to organize these lives and have them be a staple for it. I love doing them. I really hope that you all find value in them. So what I'm going to start doing is compiling a list for those of you who want to get reminders. And then we'll start to put a weekly content calendar together where you'll get an email from me that basically outlines the days and times that I'll be going live, along with the specific topics of it, which is great because this is going to hold me accountable to really putting some extra thought into this, because I want to make these as effective and as helpful as possible. And then that way you can have the chance to block out your schedule, plan accordingly, invite your friends and family to join in, etc. And I'll put that link on here too. So you have 2 links for me. Number 1 is the stress relief training. And number 2 is the sign up for the Facebook Live reminder. And that'll be Facebook Live, YouTube, Instagram Live when we go live on Instagram, everything like that. So be sure to do that, and you'll get that email from me. I'll probably send it out every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that, with a reminder for the coming week. But otherwise, that's what I have for you all. Love for your videos to help. Oh, that's awesome, Lisa. Thanks for saying that. I signed up for that today. Oh, cool. Fantastic, Lisa. That's great. So any questions at all from me, shoot me an email. Let me know. You can put a comment in there. Also, if you end up signing up for the stress relief training, put it in the comments and just let me know that I signed up for the stress relief training. And then that way I can acknowledge you and I can check in with you and make sure that you're getting value on it. If you have questions about it at all, you can message me. I'll be happy to answer it. I want to make sure that you master the material and implement it, because there's some powerful tools and techniques in that training to help you really conquer stress and go into 2019 living it in the most spectacular way possible. Otherwise, that's it for me. If you're watching the replay, questions about this, post in there. I'll put this stress relief training up one more time just to make it easily accessible. And I appreciate each and every one of you being here with me tonight. It's taken a little of your time. I can't believe this is the last. Well, actually, no. Monday's the 31st, huh? So we're gonna close. If any of you are around on Monday the 31st, we'll close the new year out together, and I will have the calendar of the live won't start until the following Monday, because next week's going to be kind of a funky schedule with the holidays and stuff. But starting whatever that Monday is, January 7th or something like that. All right. Wherever you are, morning, noon, or night, sending lots of love to you all. Carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment. Remember, this is the only time you have this moment, so make the most of it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.